Hey everyone, it is great to be with you again today. Today we are in Numbers chapter 30, and it's March the 9th. And just again, kind of want to help us remember as we're reading through the book of Numbers, remember God has led the Israelite people out of bondage, out of slavery in Egypt. He's led them all the way to the promised land. They've been to the edge of the promised land once. They rebelled against God, lived in fear instead of, living in faith, especially faith in a God who has delivered them, who's given them miraculously food and water, delivered them through the Red Sea. I mean, just God has done so many things for them. And you would think that as a result, they would have deep faith and respond positively. But instead, we see the human nature of sin. It gets in the way of us responding to God. I mean, they are really a good, really an example of humanity, of what's in the heart of humanity, how humanity responds to God. I mean, it's captured in the Israelite people, even with all that God has done. And so it helps us to be able to see a clear picture of humanity. And this is that 10,000 foot overview, right? We're getting a glimpse into the heart of mankind and what sin does and how it separates us from God. And yet we see God patiently trying to bring them along and establish faith and show himself to them and prove himself to them and build relationship with them and giving them opportunity to not only have to be forgiven their sins, but also to live with a cadence in life of gratitude and appreciation and in closeness with God. And sometimes they get it and many times they don't, a lot like us. And so it's incredible as we read through the book of Numbers, just the scenarios and the situations and what's happening there. And today we're talking a little bit about vows, like God trying to get them to understand, okay, hey, when you make a vow, be a person of character. When you make a vow to God, follow through on your vow. When you make a vow to other people, follow through on your vow to them. It's God wanting to build character in his people and help them to live on the right side of things versus allowing sin to penetrate the heart and their minds and infect culture, because that's exactly what sin does. It tears down families, it tears down culture, it tears down nations. And so God is trying to get through to not only them, but to us. And so let's jump back in. Numbers chapter 30. It says, Then Moses summoned the leaders of the tribes of Israel, and he told them, This is what the Lord has commanded. A man who makes a vow to the Lord or makes a pledge under oath, he must never break it. He must do exactly what he said he would do. Let me encourage you. I'd underline that. That's a a really important message that God gives to his people. He says, you make a vow, follow through. Don't break it, right? If a young woman makes a vow to the Lord or a pledge under oath while she is still living at her father's home, and her father hears of the vow or pledge and does not object to it, then all her vows and pledges will stand. But if her father refuses to let her fulfill the vow or pledge on the day he hears of it, then all her vows and pledges will become invalid. The Lord will forgive her because her father would not let her fulfill them. Excuse me. Now, suppose a young woman makes a vow or binds herself with an impulsive pledge and then later marries. If her husband learns of her vow or pledge and does not object on the day he hears of it, her vows and pledges will stand. But if her husband refuses to accept her vow or impulse pledge on the day he hears of it, he nullifies her commitments and the Lord will forgive her. If, however, a woman is a widow or is divorced, she must fulfill all her vows and pledges. But suppose a woman is married and living in her husband's home when she makes a vow or binds herself with a pledge. If her husband hears of it and does not object to it, her vow or pledge will stand. But if her husband refuses to accept it on the day he hears of it, her vow or pledge will be nullified and the Lord will forgive her. So her husband may either confirm or nullify any vows or pledges she makes to deny herself. But if he does not object on the day he hears of it, then he is agreeing to all her vows and pledges. If he waits more than a day and then tries to nullify a vow or pledge, he will be punished for her guilt. These are the regulations the Lord gave Moses concerning relationships between a man and his wife, and between a father and a young daughter who still lives at home. Numbers 31. Then the Lord said to Moses, on behalf of the people of Israel, take revenge on the Midianites for leading them into idolatry. After that, you will die and you will join your ancestors. Stop here for a moment. Remember what happened. They traveled through Midian and they're near the edge of the promised land. And the Midianites, the way that they get them to sin against God and to join in their idolatry was to send in women to seduce the men. They had relations with the women, and then after having relations with the women invited them then to come and worship their pagan idols, and the men did that. And so they were very seductive with a reason behind it. Okay, so God sees that and tells Moses, hey, it's there needs to be something done about that. So Moses said to the people, choose some men and arm them to fight the Lord's war of revenge against Midian. From each tribe of Israel, send 1,000 men into battle. So they chose 1,000 men from each tribe of Israel, a total of 12,000 men armed for battle. And then Moses sent them out, 1,000 men from each tribe, and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, led them into the battle. They carried along the holy objects of the sanctuary and the trumpets for sounding the charge. They attacked Midian as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they killed all the men, all 5 of the Midianite kings, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba died in the battle. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with the sword. Then the Israelite army captured the Midianite women and children and seized their cattle and flocks and all their wealth as plunder. They burned all the towns and villages where the Midianites had lived after they had gathered the towns and villages. After they had gathered the plunder and captives, both people and animals, they brought them all to Moses and Eleazar the priest and to the whole community of Israel, which was camped on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was furious with all the generals and captains who had returned from the battle. Why have you let all the women live? He demanded. These are the very ones who followed Balaam's advice and caused the people of Israel to rebel against the Lord at Mount Peor. They are the ones who caused the plague to strike the Lord's people. So kill all the boys and all the women who have had intercourse with a man. Only the young girls who are virgins may live. You may keep them for yourselves, and all of you who have killed anyone or touched a dead body must stay outside the camp for 7 days. You must purify yourselves and your captains on the 3rd and 7th days. Purify all your clothing too, and everything made of leather, goat hair, or wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the men who were in the battle, the Lord has given Moses this legal requirement. Anything made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, or lead, that is, all metals, do not burn, but must be passed through fire in order to be made ceremonially pure. These metal objects must then be further purified with the water of purification. But everything that burns must be purified by the water alone. On the 7th day, you must wash your clothes and be purified. Then you may return to the camp. And the Lord said to Moses, you and Eleazar the priest and the family leaders of each tribe are to make a list of all the plunder taken in the battle, including the people and animals. Then divide the plunder into 2 parts and give half to the men who fought the battle and half to the rest of the people. From the army's portion, first give the Lord his share of the plunder, 1 of every 500 of the prisoners and of the cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Give this share of the army's half to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. From the half that belongs to the people of Israel, take 1 of every 50 of the prisoners and of the cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, and other animals. Give this share to the Levites who are in charge of maintaining the Lord's tabernacle. So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. And the plunder remaining from everything the fighting men had taken totaled 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 virgin girls. Half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share, 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share, 30,500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share, and 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share. Moses gave all the Lord's share to Eleazar the priest, just as the Lord had directed him. Half of the plunder belonged to the people of Israel, and Moses separated it from the half belonging to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 virgin girls. From the half share given to the people, Moses took one of every 50 prisoners and animals and gave them to the Levites, who maintained the Lord's tabernacle. All this was done as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then all the generals and captains came to Moses and said, "We, your servants, have accounted for all the men who went out to battle under our command. Not one of us is missing. So we are presenting the items of gold we captured as an offering to the Lord from our share of the plunder: armbands, bracelets, rings, earrings, and necklaces. This will purify ourselves before the Lord and make us right with him." So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from all the military commanders, all kinds of jewelry and crafted objects. In all, the gold that the generals and captains presented as a gift to the Lord weighed about 420 pounds. All the fighting men had taken some of the plunder for themselves, so Moses and Eleazar the priest accepted the gifts from the generals and captains, and brought the gold to the tabernacle as a reminder to the Lord that the people of Israel belong to him. Okay, and so we see this event where the Midianite people, remember, they've waged war. Think of it in this term: they have waged war against the Israelite people, and their tactics were to go in and seduce them, sending in all kinds of women to try to really lead the Israelite people. Now they're leading them away from God into idol worship, into their practices which were abhorrent to God. Family, people sacrifice, not animal sacrifice, people sacrifice, prostitution, just all kinds of very, very way beyond even prostitution, things that were that God considered very, very evil. And so there are consequences to this. If God looks upon a group of people and he sees that they are completely bent on not just living apart from him, but destroying the very people that are trying to follow him. If you think about it, that's satanic. That is aggressively not just, hey, you live and let live. It's, no, we're going to do what we can to try to lead you off a cliff, to lead you to a really bad place. That's wickedness. And so God tells they're done. Anybody who was involved in any level, aside from the virgins that had nothing to do with it at all, anybody who was involved at any level in the wicked assault upon God's people, their lives are going to end. And he's putting an end to them. And so that's what God does. And again, it helps us to understand a little bit better as to what is it that God is doing, how's he responding, why is he responding. in these ways. And it's, for one, to preserve his people and to keep them going in the right direction. And boy, what a job that is. If you're a parent, boy, what a job it is to keep your children going in the right direction, especially with all the temptations and the things that are coming their way. Well, God, as our Heavenly Father, has got a lot to keep his people going in the right direction. And so thank the Lord, he puts ministering angels around us. He puts good people in front of us. He gives us his word to lead us and to guide us. And he gives us Holy Spirit in us to lead and to guide and to help and to stand firm against the attacks of the enemy, who he wants to throw you off. He wants to lead you into a path that is going to lead to destruction. And thank the Lord, he's given us the armor of God. He's given us prayer, that we can be pursuing his righteousness, his holiness, and his will for our lives. So, all right, I hope that helps you again understand the big picture here. And we'll be back tomorrow, jumping back in and learning about the more about the tribes of Israel. Okay, I hope you have a really great day today. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.